Hello, hello, hello. Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing okay. For today's video, I thought we could do one of my absolute favorites, which is book video. These are my favorite to watch. I think the combination of ASMR and books is absolute perfection. Let me know how those cupped whispers work. But yeah, so I knew when I started this channel that I definitely wanted to make book ASMR videos, and I was just way too excited to make one. So for today, we're gonna do a little bit of a mid-year wrap-up sort of thing. I know it's past the halfway point of the year, but I thought we could still do a little recap of my recent reads of this year so far. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, I believe. So I'll be showing them to you today, and I hope you enjoy these types of videos as much as I enjoy them. I definitely have my go-to ASMR artists for book content that are completely amazing. So hopefully I can do them a little bit of justice. So I have a combination of physical books and Kindle books. I really like physical books and I really appreciate them, but Kindle is sometimes more convenient or more accessible. I wear glasses for reading, and so being able to change the font size on my Kindle definitely helps so much. I can see just fine. It's just when I really focus my eyes in reading or looking at a screen, I feel my eyes working overtime. So using these glasses help my little eyes out, so they're not working as hard. And yeah, and being able to adjust the font size on the Kindle makes it so much easier, as well as just like lighter to carry on the wrist, and just you can put it in a bag and it's nice and easy to carry it on the go. So yeah, I'll be showing you both physical books and books on my Kindle. Yeah, and just talking a little bit about them and what I thought of them. Alright, so let's get started. So the first book I read this year, or I finished this year because I actually started reading it end of last year, is this one. So this is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. It has a really beautiful cover, based off. It's a really famous painting, I believe, maybe by a Japanese artist. The Waves. So yeah, this book I enjoyed. It took me way longer than I thought it would to read. I think it definitely took me over a month, maybe 2. For those of you that don't know what this book is about, you're basically following these 2 characters, Sam and Sadie, and you follow them from childhood into adulthood, and they are avid game lovers, and they decide to create their own games. So then you follow them through this journey, and it's also a bit of a study of their relationship with each other, both personal and work relationships, and also their relationships with their families and friends. And so my day job is I'm a software engineer, and so this book really appealed to me because of the game creation aspect, the game development aspect. So I was super intrigued in learning and seeing how this author basically wrote the development of games from like idea to development and so on. I think those were some of my favorite parts. The games introduced in this book were really cool and really interesting. There was definitely some tech lingo that I appreciated, though not too much to overwhelm the user that is not familiar with these terms. The relationships between Sadie and Sam, the relationship between them was very complex and slightly complicated, but also it felt very real. They both felt like very real characters, very flawed, complex. So I really like that. So yeah, I really appreciated Sam and Sadie's character. I think they were written very well. I think the writing here was also very beautiful. It's definitely a slower read. It's a slow pace. I think you slowly get to know them and then journey through their lives with them. And so nothing happens like abruptly, or the book definitely is not very fast paced. And I want to say that contributed to me not being as drawn to pick it up. Because every time I read it, I enjoyed what I was reading, though there were some lulls here and there. And I knew I wanted to continue. I just didn't particularly feel drawn to finish it right then and there. So it took me quite a few weeks. But overall, I really liked it. It took some turns that I didn't expect. But yeah, one of my favorite things to read about in here were the games and how complicated Sadie and Sam were as people. I really appreciate fleshed out characters that are flawed and that feel real. So yeah, definitely enjoyed it. I'm trying to create some book sounds for you here. Hopefully it's picking it up. Maybe some page turning. I know this book has received a lot of hype on Book Talk and BookTube. I think it came out in 2022, so it has a few years now. So yeah, I definitely recommend it if it's something that seems interesting to you. Yeah. So that's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Okay. The next book I read, I lost someone very dear to me last year, and so it was hard end of year and hard beginning, and as things are, it's still hard. But when I read this book, I was really looking for comfort. I think when you go through a loss, you feel very lost, and you just want a little peace of mind, not a peace of mind, a little bit of comfort, kind of like a hug. And so this one YouTuber that I used to watch, I don't think she posts videos anymore, but she recommended this one book. So I got it. This is Welcome to the Grief Club. It's a very, very small, thin book. And if I can show you here, it doesn't have a whole ton of text. It has like some text and like some pictures. Actually, sometimes it's a lot of text. But this book is basically just helping you feel less isolated in a time that can be very isolating. And it definitely helped me. I sobbed a lot while reading it, of course, but crying is not bad, and it definitely felt like a hug. It's nice in times like that to feel heard, to feel understood, to know that there are those out there who share these feelings, who have gone through these same things. Yeah, so it definitely helped me out. So yeah, it's a very, very cute little book. Super, super helpful, and comforting. So definitely recommend it. Okay. The next book I read, I also saw this book a lot on YouTube. Yeah, mostly on YouTube. So this is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, I believe. So I really enjoyed this book. For those that don't know it, the basic premise is you're following this girl, and I don't know if she was born or she just at a very young age got put into this large cage with 30 other women in this like small room, and all she knows is that is her reality. There is a security guard that guards them, and I think there's like 3 that take turns, and they are given food at a certain time for them to cook. I don't think they're allowed physical contact with each other, but the guards don't talk to them, and so you're just thrown into this world from this girl's perspective, learning about what is going on and just learning everything for the first time. And so like this, as the story progresses, you get to learn things from the perspective of this character that has never experienced the world as any of us have. Her whole world is this cage with these women, and these women have experienced the outside world. We don't know why they're here, and what kind of lives exactly they led and where they were taken, but they did experience the outside world, but are not so willing to share it with this girl. So she's learning a lot of things, and the things that they're not willing to teach her, she kind of finds ways to like teach herself and create these like mental, these like constructs and ideas. She like forms them herself, and it's really fascinating seeing how the mind creates things for us to make sense of our world. So I really appreciated how this author wrote through the lenses of this girl. I thought it was really impressive, and really captivating. But it's written so well that you don't even notice. Like, the story progresses in a very natural way, and you're just like in for the ride. So I was really impressed by that too. I really like this book. I think it also like explores women relationships, the fortitude in women, people's willingness to survive and help each other. Yeah, I really liked it. I definitely recommend it. I think this book was actually written in the 90s, but only recently it blew up. So, yeah, definitely really like it. So yeah, this is I Who Have Never Known Men. Okay, next, I'm gonna grab some water in my good old water bottle. Cheers. Perfect. So, I think the next book I read, by the way, this is from chronological order and how I read them this year. And I think the next book I read was on my Kindle. And I think it was this one. So this is Bear Town by Frederick Bachman. Actually, quite dim. Let me turn on the candle for you. Okay, we are back. I don't know if the lighting is better for you, but now we have a little candle over there. Actually, wait a second. Now it might be too dark. I don't know. But we're giving it a try. This is basically, like I said, this is Bear Town. This is by Frederick Bachman. Can't really see. Frederick Bachman is an author from whom I've read, I think, 4 or 5 books. I've read And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, I think that's what it's called. It's a little novella. I've read his little Christmas short story novella too. I forget what it's called. Then I read Anxious People, and my personal favorite of his, A Man Called Ove. Ove spelled O-V-E. So clearly it's an author I really like. I really like how he writes. human connection and the human condition and relationships and just how he writes humans and life. Yeah, he has a way of really tugging on my heartstrings. I may have cried for most of his books. I think so. I definitely appreciate a book that makes me feel so emotional. I feel the need to cry. Or just any book that really pulls at my emotions, I appreciate. But anyways, this book is a bit of more of a serious book. It takes place in a hockey town in Sweden. Frederick Bachman is from Sweden, so I believe all his stories take place there. And so this one takes place in a small town, a small hockey town, that's important, in Sweden, where the whole town is pretty much really into hockey. That is like the main thing that gives them purpose, that gives them drive, that they cheer for. And so you follow a lot of characters from this town, a few families, some kids, some adults. And so the main incident that really spirals this whole story is that one night there's a high school party and this girl gets assaulted. And the story goes from there. It's pretty emotional and heavy, and it really showcases both the ugly and the beautiful of society. Cases like this, sadly enough, our society doesn't handle well. For some reason, it's hard to see what is the right thing to do in cases like this, apparently. Or so it seems from real life and from the story. So, yeah, basically, you follow this whole town as they try to adjust with the consequences from what happened on that night. Yeah, and you see things you don't want to be seeing. Characters react in ways you wish they wouldn't. But it felt very real, sadly enough. But you also get to see the good in humans, the good in community, and what that means. And every character you meet, it's like when you meet them throughout the book, you slowly peel the layers away. And pretty obvious, nobody is who they seem to be on the outside. I like how it's really showcased. Everybody has their own stuff that they're dealing with, and sometimes us as human, we're not very good at communicating the things that we're going through, even to the people you're really close to. So, yeah, that's just one example of the things that are a few examples of this stuff that's discussed here. I definitely recommend it, and I recommend this author in general. Okay, next I read this other book. It's actually a fantasy book, and I read fantasy every once in a while. I think I try to try a little bit of different genres and types, fiction, nonfiction. Depends on my mood. I'm a big mood reader. But I was really in the mood for a high fantasy book, something to just like take me away on a journey. And this book had been on my radar for many years. It's just very long, and long books intimidate me. But I've read a different series by this author, the 3 books in that series, and I trust him now. So I'm like, if there's an author that I'm gonna trust with a 1,000-page book, it's gonna be him. So this is the book. This is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. You can see it's like really, it might be the size of my head, to be honest. And it's pretty freaking heavy. This book I read both the physical version and also the Kindle version because it was starting to be really uncomfortable to hold. But it's very nice and floppy. I understand the hype now for this book. So a little synopsis for those that are not familiar with this book. But Brandon Sanderson is I think he's one of the most famous fantasy authors in this time. He has a lot of books, I think probably more than 20. So he's a big name in fantasy right now. And this book pretty much takes place in this world where they have these things called high storms that go from one side of the globe to the other, and they're very constant. And so the whole society's infrastructure, it has been built around these high storms. There's like buildings that are slanted one way so that they can shield themselves from the wind. The animals have like shell-like bodies to like also protect themselves. I think the plants can like come out of their shells too and then hide again during the high storms. So it's a really cool world. It has a lot of like lore, and it has its own religion and history, and it's really fascinating. And so you are just thrown right in the middle of it. And you are put in this time when there's a war going on, and you're following 3 characters that are somehow tied to this war. The character work in this book is phenomenal. I think the book, I wouldn't say it's fast paced. It's definitely takes its time introducing you to the characters and the world despite being thrown in it. You slowly get to know the characters. Things slowly start to get built up. And you slowly piece the connections. But yeah, the character work is great. I'm like obsessed with these characters. The world is really cool. And what you know at the beginning of the story is that something is coming. Something bad that happened before is returning. Yeah, I know I didn't give a lot of details, and maybe nothing I said made sense. And honestly, I didn't really know much going in, other that this is like his big series. And honestly, that was fine. I took the leap. It was worth it. I think this is definitely like a book, a setup book, even despite being 1,000 pages and things do happen. It sets you up for what's coming, and like once you get to the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the next one. So yeah, I personally really recommend it. The previous series that I read by this author is the Mistborn trilogy, and that series made me really appreciate and trust this author's creativity. He really has very creative magic systems and worlds, and also he very strategically and intentionally places things and sets things up from the very beginning, from the very first book, and you don't notice, but then it all makes sense at the end. So I appreciate that planning, and it makes me trust this author to read his 1,000-page books, because every single book in the series has like 1,000 pages. So yeah, that's The Way of Kings. Let me do some page flipping. Sorry that I'm doing it off screen. One day I'll have a mic that captures everything that I don't have to hold in my hand. But for now, this is what we do. Okay, let's see. The next book I read, I believe I read on my Kindle. I'm like switching the Kindle book, and the screen is really bright. Oh, yes. So, the next book I read might be one of my favorite reads this year. I was completely obsessed. Let me just pulling up the cover right now. It's a new release, and usually I'm not very good with new releases, but I had to read this one, and I got it on Kindle as soon as it came out. So that is Sunrise on the Reaping by Susanna Collins, right? Susanna Collins, yeah. This book was so good. If you don't know, Susanna Collins is the author of the original Hunger Games trilogy. Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. And those books were written maybe like 15 years ago at least, maybe 20 years ago actually. I've only read them once when they first came out as a kid, and I was obsessed. The third one did take me like 3 tries to get through, but the first and second I loved, and obviously the movies are also great. Catching Fire is specifically phenomenal. And so when I heard that she was writing a book about Haymitch, which is one of the characters from the original trilogies, and this is his like backstory, I knew I was gonna pick it up. He's one of the most fascinating, amazing characters in the whole world. And yeah, this book delivered. She's such a great writer. She's super engaging, You definitely want to read, or actually, you just basically need to watch the movies. You don't even need to read the original books to read this one. I would definitely say watch at least the first two movies, because some characters do show up on here. But this was so good. It delivered. It met every expectation I had. And what's really cool about Susanna Collins and what they say is that she really only writes when she has something to say. And yeah, she had something to say. And her books, if you take them for more than just the enjoyment that they provide, she really, really goes deep into the world and the direction it's headed and the politics of it and the basically the bad. She really showcases the things, and what she really focuses on on this book is propaganda and like how the government uses media for its own agenda, pretty much. And in these times, that really holds true. So yeah, this was a super entertaining read that has a lot to say about the world today, especially the US. And yeah, I mean, if you love Haymitch from the original trilogy, you're gonna love this. It has the same spark as the original trilogy. It has some really fun characters too, and yeah, it's fantastic. If you're a Hunger Games fan, this is definitely, don't pass on this. It was fantastic. I didn't read her other book, the Snakes one, Songbird of Snakes and something. I watched a movie and I thought it was okay, but this I definitely loved, and I'm really excited for the movie that they've already been working on. So, yeah. So that was that one. There is one more book, right? I think there's one more book I read, but I'm thinking of just ending the video here. And then saving it for end of the year wrap up with the second half of the books I've read. Hopefully, I'll get out of this reading slump and continue reading. There are technically two books that I've been reading for a while, but we'll see how that progresses. I've just been feeling I've been very busy, feeling a little bit burnt out with work and just life in general, so I'm trying to take it slow, take it easy, and not push myself to read if it's not something I'm in the mood for. Yeah. Maybe I'll take a little picture for the thumbnail. Let's see if I can like line these books up. Let's see. Let's be delicate with the mic. Okay, well, thank you all for joining me today. I hope the sounds were okay. I hope the book sounds were somewhat captured. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that you're all doing okay. I think I finally got it this time. Thanks again for joining me. And yeah, let me know what you've read recently, if you've read any of these books. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my opinions. Do you disagree? All comments, whatever you want to say. Feel free to leave a like if you like this video. And yeah, let me know if you like this new setup. I have like a warm light, orange light to my right, and then I have a candle blowing in front. Yeah, it might be too dark, but yeah, let me know. All right, have a good